So this next story that I want to talk about involves Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. And this is a follow-up story from a video that I did a few months ago. And apparently Tobago, Sandals, the Sandals Resort is one of the biggest all-inclusive brand in the entire world. And it's a Jamaican company founded by Butch Stewart, over 30 years ago. So apparently Butch Stewart met with the former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Dr. Keith Rowley, and they were supposed to launch a project in Tobago. So before the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago stepped down a few months ago, he stated that, look, the Sandals deal is back on the table. And in that speech, he mentioned about politicians in Tobago pretty much sabotaging the project that was supposed to happen years ago. So now, fast forward, and we see the interim Prime Minister, Prime Minister Young, stated recently that they met with Adam Stewart in Trinidad and Tobago about to continue this project, about seeing how they could, come to some agreement and break ground on Sandals heading to Tobago. So this story was brought to us by TTT News, and this is what they had to say.
They have five investments right now of new hotels throughout the Caribbean that they are embarking on. I told them make Tobago the sixth.
Describing it as a cordial meeting with Sandals Executive Chairman Adam Stewart, Prime Minister Stuart Young said they were promising discussions with Tobago, collectively agreeing on a resolution to invite Sandals Resorts International to consider investing in Tobago.
We all recognize the period that we're in, and we're 3 weeks away from a general election. So we did not put any timeline on it because we just wanted the opportunity for this first step.
He said certain details were discussed, but noted that nothing is yet set in stone.
There was some discussion as to sites, etc., location. I said, hey, let us not jump ahead of ourselves. There was also the question raised about the environmental NGOs. And the answer to that was the environmental NGOs' participation at this stage is premature. Because the first thing we need to do is get a yes from Mr. Stewart and the Sandals Group that they're prepared to come to Tobago.
The members of the meeting included Chief Secretary Farley Augustine, Assemblyman of the THA Watson Duke, President of the Old Tobago Fisherfolk Association Curtis Douglas, Ministers Randall Mitchell, Ayana Webster Roy and Shamfa Kujo, Minority Leader of the THA Calvin Morris, and President of the Tobago Business Chamber Martin George, among others. Prime Minister Young said the stakeholders collectively agreed on a resolution to invite Sandals to consider investing in the island, with a positive remark from Mr. Stewart.
He has undertaken that they will go back, they will have the necessary discussions, and I am hoping in the not too distant future, the Sandals Group will take a positive decision.
And despite a previous attempt to absorb Sandals in Tobago, Mr. Young said both parties agreed to start on a clean slate.
He did also say to us that it's a clean slate. He is prepared from an investment point of view to indicate to all of us who are gathered there today that their usual model is one where he is prepared to invest in the plant, as we call it, the hotel itself.
Prime Minister Young said he is looking forward to welcoming Mr. Stewart and the Sandals Group on April 29th, should they take the decision to invest in Tobago.
Okay, so that report is coming from TTT News, Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm one of the persons that hope that this project really does take off the ground, because Sandals is one of the best all-inclusive hotel in the world. Sandals is a massive organization, and it is Caribbean owned, which is a plus. So a lot of the money stays in the Caribbean as opposed to some of the other hotels. They are one of the biggest employers in the Caribbean. Every island that they go to, they would employ between 1,000, 1,005, and we saw that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That is the latest project that so up and running from the Sandals group of company. So I really hope that this does go through. I hope that politics does not interfere with it. We know that the election is coming up in a few days. So I'm hoping that despite whichever party form the next government, that Sandals could be in Tobago. And Tobago, as I stated in numerous videos, every time I talk about Trinidad and Tobago, I've always said that, look, I believe that the politicians, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, they have not given Tobago as much credit in terms of beauty. Whenever we talk about the Caribbean and in terms of the natural beauty and the Caribbean as a destination for tourists, we don't talk a lot about Trinidad and Tobago. And Tobago is extremely beautiful, stunningly beautiful. So I know that it's one of those markets that's just waiting for visitors from all over the world to merge onto the beautiful island of Tobago. So I really hope that this project goes through. And this is not necessarily the first Sandals project that they've been to other countries where they tried to launch. I remember, I think over 20 years ago, they also tried to launch in Cuba, and that project did not get off the ground. And yes, the stakeholders of Tobago, they have the right in terms of the environment. They have the right to sit at the table and to say, like, look, this is what we want for the environment. Because the reality is that a lot of the hotels that come to the Caribbean, they tamper with the environment. And that is just the honest truth about it. And when you go to, for example, to Jamaica and you look at some of the beaches of those resorts, you can see that they're like man-made beaches. So a lot of the islands do not want anyone to interfere with the natural beach itself, to just leave it as is. And I believe that Sandals, under the stewardship of Adam Stewart, I think Sandals would be open to that, because St. Vincent and the Grenadines, last year I went to St. Vincent and we went on the beach, and that beach was untouched. You can see that that beach wasn't like a man-made beach. It was the same beach that was always there. They were not able to do anything to add to the beach. So in terms of people that are concerned about the environment in Tobago and to keep Tobago as natural as possible, as I said, I think that they have a right to be at the table. I think all the stakeholders have a right to be at the table. So I hope that everyone comes together and this deal could be done and we could see a Sandals resort in the beautiful island of Tobago. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this. If you are from Tobago in particular, would you like to see a Sandals resort in Tobago? Do you think that the employment, like as I said, over 1,000 guarantee employment Sandals would bring to Tobago? So sound off in the comment section and let me know your comment. What do you think about this project? Do you have a problem with all-inclusive hotel? Do you hope that more small hotels would be in Tobago instead of like a big hotel like Sandals? Sound off and let me know your thoughts on this. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.